I let the feeling pass without chasing it. And the strange thing was, it passed. I used to believe that if I didn't hold on to a feeling, it would disappear unfinished. I used to think that if I didn't analyze it, I would miss something important. I assumed that every emotion required attention, but it didn't. Not loudly, not urgently, just quietly enough to move on its own. There was no dramatic decision, no moment of surrender, no clear realization that told me to stop. It was smaller than that. It was subtle. It was gradual. It was unforced. From the outside, nothing seemed different. I still spoke when I needed to. I still answered when someone asked. I still moved through the day as usual. Nothing about me looked detached. And yet, something inside me had shifted. Not suddenly, not defiantly, just quietly enough to loosen. I noticed it in the second after a feeling appeared, the moment where I would normally pause and examine it, the space where I would usually try to name it, define it, understand it, and this time I didn't. That was new. The feeling arrived, it existed, and I let it be there, not suppressed, not ignored, not exaggerated, just allowed. I was still aware, still present, still steady, but I wasn't reaching for it. Emotions surfaced without interrogation. They lingered without being dissected. They softened without being controlled, and nothing intensified. I could move through an entire hour with something quietly present in my chest and not turn it into a project. Nothing escalated. Nothing demanded resolution. It was more like space without resistance, as if I had stopped turning every feeling into something that needed direction. Everything around me stayed the same, but my relationship to emotion had changed. I paid attention to how calm I remained. I didn't tense when discomfort appeared. I didn't rush toward explanation. I didn't brace against what I felt. If someone had asked what was going on inside me, I might not have had a structured answer, because I wasn't structuring it. That was unfamiliar. I had always believed emotions required management, that awareness meant analysis, that growth meant processing everything immediately. But when I stopped chasing what I felt, nothing collapsed. It wasn't avoidance. It wasn't numbness. It was something quieter, a willingness to let motion complete itself. Not because I didn't care, but because I trusted that feelings know how to move. I noticed it in repetition, the same emotional patterns, the same subtle waves, the same passing moods, everything recognizable, yet softer, not because they disappeared, but because I stopped amplifying them. I didn't label every shift. I didn't trace every origin. I didn't predict every outcome. And nothing spiraled. That awareness changed something. Because once you realize that feelings don't require pursuit, you begin to see how much of your anxiety came from chasing them. I began to notice how automatic the chase had been. If something felt uncomfortable, I moved toward fixing it. If something felt heavy, I tried to lighten it. If something felt unclear, I tried to clarify it immediately. But feelings aren't problems. They are movements, and movement doesn't need interference. The realization didn't feel dramatic. It felt stabilizing, like watching a wave rise and fall without stepping into the water, like noticing tension in the body and letting it soften without force, like allowing emotion to breathe without gripping it. And the more I allowed that, the less urgent everything felt. And I began to notice something else. How much energy I had once spent trying to hold emotions in place. How I would freeze a feeling so I could understand it fully before letting it move. And when I stopped interrupting that movement, something softened. Not in the feeling itself, but in me. Everything continued as usual. Time moved forward. People spoke. The world kept its rhythm. And I moved within it, without tightening around every sensation. I noticed it in my breathing, in the way my shoulders stayed relaxed, in the absence of internal debate. The feeling would appear, and I would let it move. No narrative, no correction, no expansion. That was unfamiliar. The schedule made sense. The responsibilities remained. The day unfolded normally, but something inside me had become lighter, not because I felt less, but because I wasn't carrying every feeling forward. Even simple emotions felt different. A moment of doubt, a flicker of irritation, a wave of sadness. They passed, without pursuit, without resistance. The pressure faded. I didn't need every feeling to lead somewhere meaningful, and that awareness was subtle. It wasn't a breakthrough. It wasn't a declaration. It was quiet. And because it was quiet, it felt sustainable. Sometimes I noticed how quickly I used to chase meaning, how urgently I tried to transform discomfort into insight, how often I mistook analysis for healing, and now I was allowing space instead. I didn't explain it to anyone. There was nothing dramatic to describe, but I carried that softness with me through the same rooms and the same hours, aware that emotion does not need pursuit. There was nothing a fix, no emotional emergency, no hidden crisis beneath the surface. The feeling came, and I remained steady. It moved with me in small ways, in the pause before a reply, in the silence before sleep, in the quiet between thoughts. I let it exist without turning it into a task. I didn't rush growth. I didn't demand closure. I didn't convert emotion into narrative. I let it sit there, quietly, as something capable of completing itself. The strange thing was how natural that felt. People still spoke the same way. My routine still held together. My life still moved forward. Nothing unraveled. Nothing intensified. And yet, something inside me had stopped gripping, as if I had mistaken chasing for care. Not a dramatic shift, not a visible transformation, just less interference. The feeling didn't grow louder. It didn't demand interpretation. It simply passed. And maybe that was the point. Not every emotion needs to be followed. Some feelings finish when you stop pursuing them. They don't require analysis. They don't require correction. They simply move. Not loudly, not urgently, just steadily. Nothing around me needed adjustment. Nothing needed to be solved in order for me to remain stable. I didn't need to chase every feeling to grow from it. I let the feeling pass without chasing it. And it passed.